welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Hope you're having yourselves a tremendous morning this morning here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Around the world here for you on YouTube.com as well as Facebook.com, both / Wake Up Call DT, and of course on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're connecting with the show, we thank you so much for tuning in up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe. Once the show goes live, you'll find us in our archives. We'll have a bunch of stuff being added here as well, and that is Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, as well as Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So again, thank you for your support and for all that you do to be a part of the show, as always, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I can't thank you enough for the support and the love that we get every single Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time and beyond that. So much love to each and every single one of you, and thank you so much for that support. We have an awesome show set up here for you today inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. We're going to start the show off in just a few minutes with the commissioner of the ACC, and that is Jim Phillips. Jim Phillips going to be joining me live here to speak on a bunch of different topics this morning in the 2024-25 world of collegiate athletics. So very excited to have ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips on the broadcast here at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Time worldwide. And then we'll jump into our conversation with Papa Joe, which will start in the first hour here, a little bit after 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and carry us all the way through 11, as PJ is going to be with me for the majority of Thursdays once again, as Major League Baseball, college football, and the NFL are all crossing paths, and so we're going to be speaking about them. Major League Baseball we'll talk about first, then we'll jump in to college football. We'll make our picks for week one. There are a ton of games going on tonight. So college football, which started in week 0, mind you, which was last week when Florida State played Georgia Tech over in Ireland, and there was a few other games going on around the country here for college football Division I-A FBS. We got to see that week 0, and then we're going to be jumping into the first full week of football, and that is going to be happening tonight, believe it or not, folks. That's when the slate starts, is tonight. There's games today. So today has got a massive schedule for a Thursday. So there's Thursday, there's games on Friday, of course there's games on Saturday, there's Sunday and Monday. So you're going to have college football from now through Monday, and Florida State is going to be in prime time once again. They were prime time over with Georgia Tech in Dublin, and they'll be prime time again this week. So this is what the schedule looks like for college football as we get set to speak with Jim Phillips, the commissioner of the ACC, in just a few minutes. And Papa Joe and I are also going to go over the 53-man roster for the Jaguars and see how our predictions did up against what actually happened. So today, Thursday, August 29th, there's a ton of games going on. They start at 6 p.m. Eastern Time with Howard at Rutgers, and that is going to be on the Big Ten Network. The ACC Network's going to have West Carolina at NC State, who's ranked 24th in the nation right now. North Carolina A&T at Wake Forest will be on ESPN Plus and ACC Extra, and there's a bunch of games that are going to be on ESPN Plus. Arkansas Pine Bluff at Arkansas will be on ESPNU at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. On Fox tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, North Carolina at Minnesota. North Dakota State at Colorado is going to be on ESPN. So first game of the season for Deion Sanders in his second season as head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes, and their first season back in the Big 12. And then Coastal Carolina at Jacksonville State will be on CBS Sports Network. That's going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then we'll see Eastern Illinois at Illinois on the Big Ten Network. tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And Sacramento State at San Jose State will be on True TV and Max at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. This Friday, we have Lehigh at Army on the CBS Sports Network at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Temple at number 16 ranked Oklahoma at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. FAU at Michigan State. Again, the American willing to play whoever. They're going to be playing the Big Ten here with FAU. That's Friday, August 30th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the Big Ten Network. Elon at Duke will be on the ACC Network at 7:30 p.m. Western Michigan at Wisconsin will be at 9 p.m. on Fox Sports 1. And TCU at Stanford at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. Saturday's schedule is crazy. I'm like, how can Saturday's schedule be this big with all of these games that are on Thursday? And of course, Syracuse, Fran Brown will have his first game as the head coach of the Syracuse Orange and first game as a head coach in general in college football, and that's going to be Ohio at Syracuse at the Dome, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the ACC Network. There's games all throughout the day to 11 p.m. Eastern Time, which is Weber State at Washington on the Big Ten Network. And then the game on Sunday, 23rd ranked USC at 13th ranked LSU, 7:30 p.m. on ABC. And on Monday night, Boston College at number 10 ranked Florida State at 7:30 p.m. So crazy schedule for college football coming up here. PJ and I are going to make some picks. I'm excited about the opportunity to do that with you here this morning. And before that happens, we're going to be speaking with the commissioner of the Atlantic Coast Conference. That is Mr. Jim Phillips. He is going to be joining us via phone, and that's going to be coming up in just a few minutes here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. So again, grateful to have you here this morning and every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We're going to take a quick step aside for a fast break, and when we spin back around on this thing, we're going to be here with the commissioner of the ACC, Jim Phillips, joining us here. So make sure you are here with us. Tell your family, friends, coworkers, and colleagues to get their tail over to Wake Up Call here this morning, as we will be going live with Jim Phillips, the commissioner of the ACC, right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and I am honored and privileged to have the commissioner of the Atlantic Coast Conference here with us on the phone this morning on Wake Up Call, and that is Commissioner Jim Phillips. Jim, how you doing?
Great, Dan. Good morning.
And Jim, I mean, looking at this, we started off the season with a bang here. A lot of great things going on in Florida State and Georgia Tech out in Dublin. Just what you could say about that experience, being out there and seeing such an incredible game with an incredible finish to start off ACC play.
Thanks, Dan. I think you said it. I think you said it right. It was incredible for us to play in Week 0, our first conference game of the 2024 season, between two really good teams that literally played to the final second, and the last play of the game was the deciding field goal. That one for Georgia Tech was just tremendous. Not only was the game great, but the week leading up to it, all the chance to talk about ACC football, College Game Day, their first trip outside of the continental U.S., to come on over to a great country like Ireland. It just kind of the stars aligned well, and again, it was a great moment for the ACC, and I think that's what people are going to see as we get into Week 1 and the kickoff of the entire season. But again, just a really memorable trip to a place where they're learning more about American football and enjoying it. It was a sold-out stadium and a raucous crowd, so a fun event.
Yeah, we look at the ACC, we talk about accomplished greatness and what that means. When we look at the portfolio, Jim, of the ACC, with the inclusion now of Cal, Berkeley, Stanford, and SMU, what can you say about the portfolio that is the ACC? How would you pitch this out to the world with the additions that you've made?
Well, I would just say a few things, and then I'll talk about our 3 new schools. But the portfolio is strong. When you think about some of the metrics that I think are important in college athletics, the ACC is as good of a league as there is. So let's just talk about athletically. We won 7 national titles last year. We won 23 titles in the last 3 years. It leads all conferences in league-sponsored sports. We're second in CFP championships. We're second in winning percentage in the CFP, and in the 10-year history of it. So obviously, the sport of football that drives college sports strongly is healthy. We're coming off an Olympics where the ACC won 102 medals, most of any conference in the country, and I think it was. I think maybe second or third overall of any country, as you think about just in totality. But the league itself, nobody won more gold medals than the ACC. It's the feeder program college sports is to, the Olympics. So you just look at any of the metrics athletically. Academically, it's the best cohorts of schools, Dan, in the country. The schools, mm-hmm. U.S. News and World Report names the best colleges. It's the best conference in the country. There may be some beef from the Ivies. I get it. But I also think that, the overall competition, when you look at FBS, there's no question it's the best college conference in the country as it relates to academics. Our graduation success rates, support that. Academic performance rates support that, etc. Financially, we cleared over $700 million last year in total revenue. It's a league record. It's a 14% increase in distributable revenue from the prior year. It's in one of the top three markers as far as overall revenue. Innovation. And then I'll get on to the schools, because I just think it's important for your listeners to know the portfolio.
Yeah.
We generated $600 million in new incremental revenue with the addition of these three new schools. We created something called a Success Initiative program, Dan, where if schools perform at a high level in football and basketball, because that's where the majority, if not all, the revenue is generated from, a substantial amount, they are going to garner a larger distribution from the ACC office. So if you have a run in the CFP and you have a run in the NCAA basketball tournament, you are going to get more than those that maybe don't have a good year and that are 4-8 in football and don't make the postseason, etc. That's, I think, how it should be, and it's a really innovative way to distribute money. First time I've heard of it in college sports, and certainly at the Power 4 level. As it relates to the three new schools, I couldn't be more thrilled with SMU, Cal, and Stanford. Again, three really good schools. They have a terrific athletic past, terrific academic past. They create two new markets for us in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, the state of Texas, and out in the Bay Area, Northern California, in the state of California. That's going to be really good for our network. We're now in the 5 most populated states in the country and 4 of the top 10 TV markets. It's the best footprint, I think, going. And I'm really excited about SMU, Cal, and Stanford coming into the league. So the league is healthy. The league is strong. It's been overshadowed at times with some of the legal issues that are going on. But I'm very, very bullish about where the league is now and where it's going.
Yeah, and you mentioned about the overshadowing, but do you feel like the membership has a plan moving forward? Do you feel like there is that workable room together and that this is a team of schools once again?
I do. We are going to do whatever we have to do from a legal standpoint, but I really want to push that to the side, because we're starting to play games again. The focus should be on student athletes. The focus should be on teams, and some of the legal pieces that they'll work themselves out. But it's very collaborative. I mean, you can't have a game in Dublin without two schools collaborating, working together. The way that Florida State and Georgia Tech did, and I commend both of them for doing that.
Jim, for you, you and I talk about this. We talked about it a lot off the air, but it's who you are, is your faith, your belief in God. And with everything that, you've had to go through as a leader, this conference has gone through. We talk about the House settlement and NIL and figuring out all these different pieces and realignment in the transfer portal. How do you, have your faith guide you and really focus on the big things? You're big on education. You're big on taking care of these kids. They're things that I think, people don't always spotlight that they should. And so I'd love to hear you talk about your faith and your positivity and why you care so much the way that you do, that goes beyond football, goes beyond sports.
Well, I would just say this, Dan. I appreciate you saying those things. I love these kids. We have 12,200 student athletes in the ACC. I love them. I do. I just feel strongly as a parent of 5 children, and 2 of my children, student athletes, have been, and one is currently, and I think there's another one on the way that has a chance to play college sports. But this is about supporting young people at a really important time in their life. 99% of them are not going to play professional sports. And so to care for them, to educate them, to mentor them, to support them, trying to do that each and every day. And I really commend our schools for what they've done in that space, Dan. And want them to have a really good experience so that when they leave college, they're ready to engage in an ever-changing world. As it relates to my faith, it's in my core. It's in my soul. And I'm one of 10 children. The greatest thing in my life growing up was my faith and my family. Just I don't think you needed much more than that. You just didn't. And every day I truly wake up on my knees, and I finish every day on my knees. And God is an important part of my life. He's an important part of Laura's life, my wife, and our 5 children. And so life can be turbulent, as you mentioned, some of the things going on in college athletics. And I think when we just look at the even more important picture where things are going on in our country and our world, our place remains close to God. And through him, all things are possible. And I think during those most turbulent times, you ask for guidance and you ask for, support, which, the Lord provides for us. And so I'm so thankful that I was raised in that way, and that was put forward, faith and religion put forward in my life in such a meaningful manner, and to do that with my children as well is really, the greatest gift that we have is our faith in God and all of the blessings that he's provided. So I appreciate you letting me say a few words, certainly about my faith and how much God means to myself and my family.
Well, Jim, you've had a lot to handle in a short amount of time as the commissioner of the ACC, and you've handled it with class, and you've always treated me with the utmost respect. So I know we only had a few minutes today, but I wanted to say thank you for reaching out to a bunch of different topics. Thank you for your leadership, and above all things, thank you for unapologetically speaking about God and sharing your faith in a world that deeply needs it. So I appreciate you, my friend, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Thanks, Dan. God bless you, and God bless your audience as well.
God bless. Have a great day. Take care, Jim.
Thanks.
See you. That coming from Jim Phillips here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Only had a few minutes with Jim, but wanted to make the most of that time and try to get into a bunch of these things that are going on. I mean, the ACC has had a lot happening, and we've talked about it. We've spoken about the Atlantic Coast Conference, and we've spoken about realignment and trying to figure out how things are going to work out. And, realignment has been so interesting to kind of break down over these last few years. I've made predictions that are probably almost 3 years old at this point, if not 3 years old at this point. I think they're probably more than 3 years old, because I talked about, NIL came out during COVID around the 2020 time, and now it's 2024. So going through this whole period of like, what is this and what does it mean and what's going to happen and how are these conferences going to move forward? Nobody thought the Pac-12 wouldn't be here. I shouldn't say nobody thought. Maybe somebody did have their ear to the ground. I mean, there's things where people say nobody thought this, and I was thinking it. So I want to respect those people that, may have been thinking, hey, this could happen, but it's such an interesting world, right? The 2 Pac-12 teams are in the ACC right now with Cal and Stanford. I had a phenomenal conversation with both of those coaches, and I implore you to go and check it out on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you'll find our conversation with Justin Wilcox, the head coach of the Cal Golden Bears for Cal Berkeley, and you'll also hear from Stanford head football coach of the Cardinal, and that is Troy Taylor. Wonderful conversations with both of those gentlemen. And, of course, SMU, you talk about the other edition coming from the American Athletic Conference. I have spent a lot of time with SMU over many years. It started with Chad Morris as the head coach, and then it went to, let me think here. It was Chad Morris, then it went to Sonny Dykes, and now Rhett Lashley, I believe that was the run here. And Rhett and I have gotten to spend a bunch of time together. He's been incredible with me, so giving of his time, and always making time for me. So I want to thank Rhett out in Dallas, Texas. They do a heck of a job, and I know they had some adversity in week 0 against Nevada, but this is a team that'll figure things out and get right. They got a good coach, and they got a great city. I've been down in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Arlington area a few times now. I feel very privileged and honored to be down there, and grateful to be down there for the events that I've been able to be there for. I've been there for the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. Shout out to the VP of Communications, Scotty Rogers. So was down there at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic with Tulane of the American and USC of the Pac at the time, and now they are inside of the Big Ten for the first time this year. So we got to have that discussion, right, of all those moves and different things going on. I got to be down there for the game, USC and Tulane, and keep in mind Tulane won, and who was the quarterback of USC at the time? Caleb Williams, who ended up becoming the 2024 NFL Draft #1 overall pick, who's now the quarterback of the Chicago Bears heading into their week 1. God bless to him and their team. And to Michael Pratt, the quarterback of the Tulane Green Wave in that game. He was a 7th-round pick by the Green Bay Packers who waived him, and my hope is that he finds a good fit. I would love for him to have an opportunity to start somewhere, and I think there's some teams where that could be an opening. There could be something there for him, so I'm hoping good things for that. Also went down to the Dallas-Fort Worth, Arlington area for back-to-back years of the American Athletic Kickoff. So it was called the American Athletic Media Days last year for football, and now it's the AAC Kickoff, which I love that they call it the AAC Kickoff because in my head it was always that to me. So seeing it rebranded as the AAC Kickoff was really cool, and really excited about what they're doing. Happy that Tim Pernetti is the new commissioner. We've been able to have a lot of quality time together. Him and Jim Phillips, the commissioner of the ACC, know each other, so I actually told Jim that Tim said hello when I went to Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington area for the AAC kickoff, and then hopped on a plane and went to Charlotte, North Carolina for the ACC kickoff. I got to speak to Jim Phillips and let him know that Tim says hello. Mike Oresco, tremendous job with the American. So, a lot of great stuff, a lot of great opportunity, and by the grace of God, I've met a lot of great people along the way. I know that people are sitting here wondering what's going to happen with the ACC and wondering what the future is going to hold, and is Florida State good, and is Clemson good, and is Miami good, and what's going to come to be. But in the worlds of the Atlantic Coast Conference, they're trying to do what they can to stay afloat, stay strong, stay powerful, and they do have a lot of successes. And to have a commissioner that speaks about God, it was really important to me to allow Jim the opportunity and the platform to share that, because everybody and their mother is asking him a lot of the same questions, and we have the opportunity to go beyond that here at Wake Up Call because we care about things that are beyond that clickbait. So happy to have him on here. We talked about a lot of stuff though. I mean, he brought up the lawsuits, and he brought up going through that. So that's obviously something that is happening. It's real. But at the same time, the ACC is doing what they can. They've put out statements where they have felt the need to, and we'll continue to see where this grows and goes, and I'll continue to monitor it, as always, on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. But, having Jim on the show means a lot to me. And Jim, from the beginning, has been really, really great. And I'll never forget the first time we got to sit down, which was in Charlotte, and talk with each other in that little restaurant area and to speak on a lot of different things. So I appreciate Jim Phillips. I appreciate Amy Yacola and the entire team at the ACC, and thank them for treating me the way that they've treated me for over a decade now. I can't believe it's been over a decade, but it has been. It's been at least 11 years. So thank you to the ACC. We're going to take a step aside. Papa Joe's going to be up next. Him and I got a lot of work to do in the next hour and a half on Major League Baseball, starting with that, then college football, jumping into our picks. There is a massive, massive schedule, as I told you earlier on in the show before Jim Phillips joined, that there are a ton of games tonight here on Thursday. I hope you have nothing to do at 7 o'clock and 900 televisions in your house. So if you don't, head to the Wildcat on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus. Head to Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville and check out these games. College football will make our picks for week 1. It's going to be our first picks of the college football season, which is always great. So we get to make a little history here for this year. We only have that first day once each year where you make your first picks of the season. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to talk about our picks with the Jaguars. Did we know what we were talking about when we put our 53-man roster together? We'll discuss that, and all that's coming up after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you to Jim Phillips, ACC Commissioner, once again, and we'll be back after this.
Here's a message from Renee from Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Brian's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business, had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees, and as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there was something about, owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in 2007, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There was a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There was a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience, it's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really changed the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allow customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality, and I think on both of those fronts, Servomation has really in large part changed that value system for employees, so they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water water machine, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean-to-cup coffee machine. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. In a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection. Even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees, there's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I could tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be at the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Hope you're having yourselves a wonderful, wonderful morning this morning. We are having a great time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I just got off a call with the commissioner of the Atlantic Coast Conference, the ACC, and that being Mr. Jim Phillips, and had a great time speaking with him here today. And I hope that you all enjoyed hearing from Jim Phillips. Appreciate him as always, and happy to have a few minutes with the commissioner of the Atlantic Coast Conference. Like I said, that we've covered for so many years. It has been at least 11 years that we've covered the ACC closely. So appreciate the ACC for all that they do. Thanks to Amy Yacola and the entire team at the ACC. And everyone that's working not only in front of the scenes, but behind the scenes. A lot of great people in the ACC. And as you learn over time, and I've continued to learn, it's about the people. It's about the people that make up an organization. And the ACC's had some really good, helpful people who listen, who care, and who value good people. So I want to say thank you to the ACC for that. And, of course, John Swafford, the commissioner that I spoke with for so many years, and now Jim Phillips that I've gotten to speak with over these last few years as the commissioner of the ACC. So with that being said, Papa Joe is here with me. We got a big old slate. We got, for the grand old smooth one, we got a grand old slate of topics to talk about. We have Major League Baseball, which is getting closer and closer to the end of the season, believe it or not. We have the Yankees at this point. We're looking at how many games these teams have played. They've played 134 games the Yankees have played at this point. There's 162. So we are, for some of these teams, less than 30 games away to the end of the season and a regular season, and then going into the playoffs. I can't believe how quickly this happens. But as we take a look at where things are at right now, Baltimore, Kansas City, as we said, Kansas City doing a great job, and just what they've been able to do and the successes that Kansas City has had. They continue to work hard at that. PJ and I are going to talk about the standings. We're going to be getting into all different things in Major League Baseball, but we can see that the Royals are fighting, the Yankees, the Orioles, the Guardians, the Astros, a lot of teams we've talked about here, the Twins and the American, and on the other side in the National League, the Dodgers and the Phillies and the Brewers and the Diamondbacks and the Padres and the Braves. A lot of things have stayed, similar to what we've seen in the last couple of weeks. The Mets are still fighting to try and get into this thing. So the conversation that we have had, we continue to have with Major League Baseball. We'll get into college football and the massive slate of games that starts tonight, that goes into Friday, Saturday with all-day games, Sunday night, Monday night, and taking, college football, literally taking anything and everything before the NFL gets started here. They have Fox Sports 1, CBS Sports Network, ACC Network Extra, ESPN Plus, the Big Ten Network, and ESPN and ABC. So they're trying to get out there for you, and show you their games from now all the way through Monday. We'll make some of our picks, the first pick of the season, and how did Papa Joe and I do in our picks for the Jacksonville Jaguars 53-man roster. That's all coming up here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. It's a mouthful, PJ. How we doing? How are you this morning?
Okay, fine. Everything's fine.
So, PJ, I am more than happy to unleash you here this morning on the world in baseball. Let us know what's going on, who's where, and how are these divisions shaping up as we get closer and closer. Like I said, for some teams, less than 30 games to the end of the regular season, which to me is crazy. I feel like we should be like 70 or 80 games in. It's like the season starts and then it's over 100 games. Now it's over 130, and we're well on our way to the postseason of the divisional leaders as well as the 3 wildcard teams. So let us know what's happening in each division.
Okay, well, we'll start with the American League like I usually do. American League East. Yankees are 78-56. Baltimore's 1 game behind. Boston's 8.5 behind. They're just about out of it. Boston has 24% chance of getting into the playoffs, which is not very good. The Yankees, as a team, are hitting .251. Their ERA is 3.75. Baltimore's hitting .251 also. Their team ERA is 3.92. Hence, the way the standings are, the Yankees are ahead of Baltimore. So if that stays that way, the Yankees have made a big rally in the last month here with their pitching. With Garrett Cole coming back and Nasty Nestor Cortez doing this thing. Been fun to watch. Central Division, we got Cleveland at 76-58. Kansas City's 1 back. Minnesota 3.5 back. As I've said, all 3 of these teams are going to make the playoffs. Cleveland is hitting a paltry .237 as a team. Their team ERA is 3.84, which isn't bad. Kansas City is hitting .258 with a team ERA of 3.88. Minnesota is hitting .253 with a team ERA of 4.12. If you read into that, you understand why Kansas City is going to overtake Cleveland very, very quickly. Cleveland just has not had any pitching this year of any substance. They hit the ball pretty well, not that well, but it's a difficult situation for Cleveland. I thought maybe last month maybe they were one of the best teams playing in baseball. But Kansas City has really closed the gap, led by Bobby Witt and his crew. So I look for Kansas City to overtake Cleveland very shortly. In the Western Division, we got Houston at 71-62. Houston is hitting .261 as a team, and their ERA is 3.77. Seattle and Texas are out of it. Seattle's 3.5 behind. Texas is 9 behind. Seattle's got 18% chance of getting into the playoff, which isn't going to happen. Houston's .261 average is leading the American League. When they started that, which I predicted they would, when they started hitting as a team together, they really put the pedal to the metal and just started drawing away. And their team ERA for pitching is also very good. All right, for the averages, we got Bobby Witt for Kansas City's hitting .346. It's difficult to understand why such a young man is carrying this team. He's only a second-year player, a third-year player. I mean, he's not even in his mid-20s yet. Yeah. Got a huge contract, but he's just a sensational player, a generational player is a term I like to use. Aaron Judge hitting .333. Judge is leading the league in home runs at 51. Also leading the league in RBIs at 123. Now, Judge has a shot to be the Triple Crown winner, where you have to lead the league in hitting, home runs, and RBIs. The only way that Judge is going to do that is if Bobby Witt slips a little bit and Judge steps it up a little bit. 13 points at this time of the season is a lot to make up.
Yeah.
Don't know if they can do it, but Witt will be leading Kansas City into the playoffs anyway. For pitching, we got Tarek Skubal of Detroit. He's got 15 wins. He's also leads the league in ERA at 2.58. Don't know why this guy is still pitching for Detroit and not pitching for one of the contenders. When the free agent deal went through and they were able to sign some players, they overlooked this man. A lot of teams overlooked this man. well, he's probably going to get a good buck from Detroit. Probably won't be pitching for Detroit too much longer. Detroit just not competitive. Manuel Class of Cleveland has 39 saves. He's been leading the league for quite a while, and he's one of the reasons why Cleveland is still hanging in there.
Yeah.
Nationally, we got Philly at 78 and 55. They're hitting 258 as a team, and their ERA is 3.70. Atlanta's 5 games behind, hitting 242 as a team for 3.63, pretty well leading the league. New York Mets 9 behind. They got 13% chance of making the playoffs. Not going to happen, folks. They'll have to get rid of Alonso and his boys next year. Central Division, Milwaukee 76 and 56. Hitting 255 as a team, and their ERA is 3.70. They are the real deal. And I didn't see this coming. I thought that when Craig Counsell left to go to Chicago, I thought that they wouldn't fall apart. I just didn't think there'd be the consistency. Well, they have it, and they have their pitching to go with it. In the West, we got LA at 79 and 54. They're hitting 251 as a team, and with their 3.72 ERA, which leads the league. Arizona's 3 back, hitting 261 as a team, and this is embarrassing, unfortunately. Their ERA is 4.44. San Diego's 4 back, hitting 266 as a team, and their ERA is 3.97. When you look at these numbers, LA at 3.72 ERA, San Diego 3.97, and Arizona 4.44. I don't understand how Arizona's still hanging in there. Why? Because they're hitting. They're starting to hit. As your man Corbin Claro hit 2 home runs. He drove in 5 runs last night. He's still only hitting 225, but that doesn't mean they're out of anything. Yeah. They're going to make the playoffs. They're certainly going to make the playoffs, but they got to pitch better. They got to do better. They just don't have anyone on my radar that's pitching very well at all. The averages for the National League, we got Arrieta's is hitting 310 for San Diego. Ozuna's hitting 309. Ohtani's 295. Home runs, Ohtani's got 42. Ozuna's got 37. RBIs, Ohtani's got 95. Ozuna's got 98. Now there's two very good players here. Yeah. Both of them trying to get the Triple Crown, where you have to lead the league to hit in the RBIs, as I've said before. Both of these guys can do that. Ohtani's got to pick up his batting a little bit. I mean, he's probably going to hit 300 in a year, but I don't know if Ozuna's going to back it up. Ozuna hitting 37 home runs, and Ozuna's got 42. These guys go back and forth. They're excellent players, and it's both of them we're going to see in the playoffs. So I'm happy for that. Chris Sale of Atlanta's got 15 wins. He's also got his lowest ERA at 2.58. When he was pitching for Boston, he was floundering there last year, and I didn't know it was the matter with him because he's a nasty left-handed pitcher. Comes from the side a little bit, got a big sweeping curve and slider, and he's. I'll tell you, he woke up in Atlanta, and it's frankly Atlanta's in the playoffs, of course, right now, and it's their 3.63 ERA has a lot to do with what Mr. Chris Sale is doing. He's a super pitcher. Ryan Helsley at St. Louis has 40 saves, and he's been leading the league for quite a while. So without me getting into individual stats, that's about it, Daniel.
Well,
I could go into stats, but it'll take a while.
Yeah, I looking at something that's on my mind right now, PJ, as we take a look at this season and the state of the season, we know that the Phillies had such a commanding lead on the NL East in the first part of this season. We know that they were up by 12 games, 15 games on the Braves, and now that has obviously dwindled. And we've seen a closer race at this point. And that closer race that we have seen has put us in a situation where things can get very interesting down the stretch here for the Phillies and for the Braves. So my question to you, PJ, as we take a look at Major League Baseball and the state of Major League Baseball currently, is, in your opinion, Do you believe, like, what are your thoughts on the NL East? Because here's the scenario. As you mentioned, the Atlanta Braves are 5 games behind the Phillies. 5 games. But let's talk about where we are this season, where we're at currently right now. With the Philadelphia Phillies having a 5-game lead on the Atlanta Braves, the Atlanta Braves and the Phillies will start a series tonight. The Atlanta Braves will be in Philadelphia for a 4-game series starting tonight, August 29th at 6:40 p.m. Eastern Time. They will play Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. The last 2 games will be on national television. The Sunday night game at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time, Atlanta at Philadelphia, will be on Fox. The Saturday night, August 31st, will be on Fox, 7:15 p.m. And on Sunday, September 1st, the final game of the 4-game series at 7 p.m. Eastern Time will be on ESPN. With a 5-game lead that Philadelphia has had, which has dwindled to a third of what they did have, a 15-game lead, and it was a 12, and it was 11. Now it's only 5 games. If the Atlanta Braves take this series, for argument's sake, the Phillies would only have a 1-game lead with 20-plus games to go in the season. What are your thoughts on the fact that the Atlanta Braves can shorten the distance to first place in the NL East in their series that literally starts tonight, head-to-head? The Atlanta Braves, due to the faltering of the Phillies and the work of the Braves could put themselves in a situation to still win this division, and it all starts tonight in a 4-game series.
Well, I don't look for that to happen. I just think Philadelphia is too good. Their team batting average, as I said, is 258. Atlanta's only hitting 242 as a team. Now you're going to go up against, I'm sure what they're going to go up against is they're going to go up against Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, and Ranger Suarez for 3 games. Those guys, Suarez was leading the league in ERA for the longest time, but he's been hit pretty hard. But Wheeler is, Wheeler is still Wheeler. I mean, he's ERA at 2.74, and Nola's ERA is 3.30. Philadelphia's got too much hitting. Alex Bohm, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Nick Calistanis, Kyle Schwarber. I mean, these guys pound the hell out of the ball. I don't look for Atlanta to do any damage here. I could be wrong. I mean, as a team, I know that the Phillies are a better team. They just have to prove it. And in a short series like this, if you start your 3 aces, the chances are you're probably going to win 2 out of 3. In order for this to be a constant conversation every week, Atlanta has to either sweep or they have to take 2 out of 3. So in any event, they're in for a tough series, and simply their hitting just hasn't been there. That's the way I feel about it, and I just think Philly's just too strong as a team overall.
Well, the poll is out there. You could feel free to vote in it. I just put it up on X, the former Twitter. You know that we put up polls typically with Papa Joe every single week on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And it says, who will win the NL East, the Philadelphia Phillies or the Atlanta Braves? You can vote in that right now, and you could vote in it throughout the series that is happening starting tonight with the Atlanta Braves at the Philadelphia Phillies. The poll will be up for 5 days. The series is a 4-game series, and that series starts tonight, August 29th. So feel free to vote in our poll and let us know who you think is going to win this. Can Atlanta finally close the gap that they've been trailing, or is this thing already done? Do you think that Philadelphia, despite the fact that their lead has dwindled down to 5 games, that they're still going to take care of business? Coming off of this, PJ, my question to you, you've mentioned the divisions, you've mentioned who's leading. We know that the Yankees and the Orioles have been tied half a game behind each other, a game behind each other. They're neck and neck. They've stayed neck and neck. They're probably going to be neck and neck. They're playing at the end of the regular season against each other. The Guardians are only a game ahead of the Kansas City Royals, who we both predicted are going to win this division. You said it first, so I'll give you credit for hitting the buzzer first, but we both picked Kansas City. Houston, as you said, is going to lead the division, and they're up 3.5 games on Seattle. Philly's 5 ahead of Atlanta, like we spoke about. Milwaukee has the largest lead. They're 9 ahead of the Chicago Cubs. The St. Louis Cardinals were in second place. They've now fallen to third, 10.5 games back behind the Brewers. And the Dodgers are ahead of the Diamondbacks by 3 games, which is where they were last week when we spoke. Who is the best team, in your opinion, right now? Who is the best team in Major League Baseball of all 30 franchises?
That's a good question. The team that's playing the best ball right now is Houston, and have been for the last month. Probably the best team. I think it's difficult for me to say between New York, Philly, and Los Angeles. That's a good question. One other point I got to make about the Atlanta series. Atlanta's Chris Sale pitched last night and won. So, Philly's not going to face Chris Sale when they play him. He just won't have enough time to rest. Probably, he may pitch the 4th game depending on his rest cycle. Sometimes these pitchers go every 5 days or every 6 days, whichever it is. Sale's just got a rubber arm. He's always had a good rubber arm and can get a lot of innings in. Our question is New York at 78-56, Philly at 78-55, and LA at 79-54. All these teams are pretty similar. The only thing I have to say on Baltimore's behalf is that they're not pitching as well as they have been at the beginning of the year. The team ERA is only 3.92. Yankees is 3.75. Garrett Cole's starting to pitch a little bit better now since he come off the IL. And Philadelphia has those 3 great pitchers that I talk about all the time. And LA is just got some good players also. I think LA is my choice here. The reason I say that is because 2 of their perennial all-stars and 1 Hall of Famers, Clayton Kershaw and Walker Buehler, are now starting to pitch back and try to get into rotation. They need them both to hold off Arizona and San Diego. San Diego just mashes the hell out of the ball. They're leading the league in hitting. And, of course, Arizona is certainly not pitching, that's for sure. But I look for LA to hold the momentum. I think with Kershaw and Buehler coming back, maybe getting some better innings in, giving these a chance to win the game, entering their rotations they already have, I think LA is the choice here.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they've had a lead. They've kept their lead. At the same time, we have seen how close the Padres have come. We've seen how close the Diamondbacks have come. But again, it's yet another team, like we talk about the Phillies, that no matter who gets closer to them, they will not allow anyone to close the gap. They're doing enough to keep whoever is by them at bay. So it's important to really look at this right now and, see who is that best team in baseball. I mean, the Dodgers have spent the money. They've obviously spent the money to be the best team in baseball, but are they truly the best team in baseball right now? And that's the question that we've asked you, and I'd love to get your answers. I'm also putting up here, because there's going to be so many answers if we say the entire Major League Baseball as a league, I split it up into the American League and the National League. Who's the best team right now, in your opinion, in the American League for the 2024 Major League Baseball season? I can only give you 4 choices, so if you have a choice other than these 4, the poll says reply with that team. So your choices are Baltimore, New York, Cleveland, and Houston. Who is the best team in the American League, in your opinion, right now, this season for 2024? And I'm putting up one for the National League as well. Papa Joe saying that the best team in baseball overall at this moment, in his opinion, are the Los Angeles Dodgers. So, a lot of great stuff here in the conversation about Major League Baseball. PJ, we're going to be hopping into hour number 2 here in just a few moments, but do you have anything else you want to add about Major League Baseball before we shift gears to football?
Well, yes, I do. I sort of slammed Arizona because of their pitching, And I keep a lot of details, and I do a lot of writing, and I do a lot of research and things, and I like to stay abreast of things. When I was doing my research on Arizona, I know that their hitting is very well. You got Marte, Gurriel, Corbin Carroll's now starting to hit a little bit. Christian Walker, Suarez, Josh Bell coming over and hitting. What bothers me is their pitching. In all of my research for their starting pitching, the only one that I could find that's doing anything is Fedett.
Brandon Pfaadt. Yeah, Brandon Pfaadt. Brandon Pfaadt. Yeah.
Yeah, he's their pitcher that is leading their team. His ERA is 4.31. Everyone else is far higher than that, including the guy that I really was pumped up about, Jordan Montgomery. This is terrible. I mean, in a short series, Arizona's going to get killed. But they hit so well that they could overcome that. That's the problem I see with Arizona. If they're going to try to keep pace with Los Angeles and San Diego, they're going to have to pitch a lot better, Daniel.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's something that they've had to figure out. They needed pitching last year. They realized that. That's why they went out and they made moves and they brought in guys. Jordan Montgomery hasn't really panned out for them, unfortunately, but the Diamondbacks did try to make moves to bring in pitching. Brandon Pfaadt, who was a rookie last year, did a tremendous job coming up, and he had a great series against the Dodgers, great series against the Phillies, struggled in the World Series against the Rangers, but again, this is a young kid who's in his first season in Major League Baseball and playing in the postseason, pitching in the postseason. So A.J. Puck came in and gave them some help. Josh Bell has obviously given them some assistance as well in the hitting world. So, I mean, the Arizona Diamondbacks do have help, and they do have guys that are out here doing some good things. But at the same time, it's something that needs to come together, and you got to have both. We know that you have to have both. If you don't have both, you're not going to win anything. We've already seen that. That's made itself very clear to us when we've looked historically at these teams that are trying to win championships, is that your pitching has to be there and your hitting has to be there. And the Texas Rangers had both going on, which is why they beat the Diamondbacks in the World Series last season. And I was there for Game 3 to see that with my dad. We were out in Arizona, and we saw that in Game 3. We saw that their pitching finally got the bats to quiet down for the Diamondbacks. It was something that the Dodgers couldn't do, the Brewers couldn't do, the Phillies couldn't do, but the Rangers figured out a way to do, and they ended up winning. So, looking at where we go from here, Arizona, hottest team in baseball, and they've done a lot of things. They won 8 straight series coming out of the All-Star break. I think 9 overall when you go back to the right before the end of the first half of the season. 9 straight series, and they lost a series, and they won a series again. They've done some good things, and we'll see where they go from here. But Arizona trying to close the gap on the Dodgers still and working toward that. They're almost to 80 wins this season. So that's another high note for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, the Diamondbacks, most recently here, they lost to the Mets and then they defeated the Mets. They have the opportunity to win the series against the Mets today at 3:40 p.m. Eastern Time, a midday game. Ryan Nelson will be pitching for the Diamondbacks. He's done a tremendous job, and good to see him in rotation. He's a guy who's stepped up and tried to help them here. Now, the Diamondbacks won every game against the Marlins on the road, every game against the Red Sox. They won 6 straight, dropped 1 to the Mets, won again last night, and then they'll have a chance to go head-to-head with the Dodgers. Now they're only 3 games behind the Dodgers, and they're going to have a chance to face off against the Dodgers in a 4-game series. So if they take care of business against the Mets, they have a chance directly against the Dodgers to control their own destiny in the NL West in a 4-game series that will happen in Arizona starting this Friday, August 30th, and running through Monday, September 2nd, Labor Day. So that's coming up here on the schedule, folks. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And if you want to run your division here and have the opportunity to lead it, well, it's right in front of you in a head-to-head series that will absolutely affect everything. So big-time shout-out to Jerry. Hope everything goes well with the endocrinologist, and hope you have a great rest of your day, Jerry. We appreciate you very much. And the poll is up now for the National League on X as well, so you can feel free to vote in this. Who is the best team right now in the National League in the 2024 Major League Baseball season? The Phillies, the Brewers, the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks. And, of course, if you have a different answer, you can reply with that answer. If you want to say the Braves, if you want to say the Padres, or whoever, you can vote. We have early voting in the American League, and the only teams that have gotten votes so far are the New York Yankees and the Houston Astros as the best teams in the American League. So who is the best team, the top team in the American League? You have voted for the Yankees. You have voted for the Astros. You have yet to vote for the Guardians or the Orioles. PJ and I will take a step aside for a fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. When we come back, we will shift gears to college football. For the first time this season, PJ and I will talk about the college football world with games. There's 134 Division 1A FBS teams, but if you look at this schedule, which obviously includes teams that are outside of the FBS, it looks like there's 700 college football teams. So we'll talk about what's going on here, and we'll make our picks, and you can follow our picks all throughout the season on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We'll be back right after this, where sports meets life.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday
Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavocollis.com. That's myavocollis.com.
Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Avocollis, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avocollis through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avocollis today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavocollis.com. That's myavocollis.com.
Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013.